we have the star of economics with us, Sir Vishnu Vardhan Reddy. Economics is boring. Now, be honest please. Is economics actually boring, or are we studying it the wrong way?
Something is boring or something is not interesting, that depend upon our mindset.
Fair enough. So that's true. Actually, it's the way we teach the subject.
Exactly, sir. Something easy, something difficult is not about the subject. It's how we approach the subject.
Tell me, how did you fall in love with economics? Was it love at first sight, or maybe some heartbreaks with graphs and curves? How did this love come? Which part of syllabus, budget, say growth, external sector, whatever, which part do you think makes even the brightest student go blank?
Some chapters are boring, some chapters are dry, some chapters are very difficult to listen to the class also even.
What's one economic concept that you think every Indian should understand, even if they never touch UPSC?
I would say not one concept, two concepts they have to understand.
So here's the thing. Everyone says they're scared of economics, yet somehow they quote inflation rates like pros during chai breaks. And somewhere between that fear and that fascination lies the real story. And that's what we are going to do today, to explore that real story with the man who makes sense of every budget and who also makes sense of every balance sheet and every baffled aspirant. We have the star of economics with us, Sir Vishnu Vardhan Reddy. Vishnu sir, a warm welcome to our series, The GS Room.
Thank you, sir. So as you rightly said, let's make it economy so simple so that aspirants, all doubts regarding economy would be resolved in a simplified way.
That's great, sir. So let's start easy. If economics were a person, would it be more like the RBI governor or maybe some street smart banya?
To put it in a simple word, sir, a man with logic, rationality, social, and a little bit philosophical. In the larger interest of oneself and the community and the society, the person is planning something. So that person would be economist.
That's great. That's great. So he has to be logical, he has to be rational. Interesting. Sir, most students also keep on whispering that economics is boring. Now, be honest, please. Is economics actually boring, or are we studying it the wrong way?
Sir, something is boring or something is not interesting, that depend upon our mindset. To be precise, if we speak only in economic jargon language, the student is not in a position to understand, so he might feel it bored. When you link economy with the day-to-day real life examples, movie stuff, memes, and what we are experiencing on day-to-day basis, I feel it is not boring, sir. So even in agriculture chapter also, students are able to listen for 5 to 6 hours, that to agriculture.
That's
So
great.
continuously at a stretch. Meaning it does not depend upon the subject, it depends upon how we teach it, how we approach it, sir. So I would make economy interesting, as some of the students would be saying. So don't consider it as a theory. Instead, learn it from a real life example from our practice. And what are we observing on day-to-day basis? Try to know the scientific reason behind it logically from economic dimension. So that makes economy more interesting rather than boring, sir.
Fair enough. So that's true. Actually, it's the way we teach the subject.
Exactly, sir. Something easy, something difficult is not about the subject. It's how we approach the subject.
So, sir, tell me, how did you fall in love with economics? Was it love at first sight, or maybe some heartbreaks with graphs and curves? How did this love come?
Sir, to be frank, everybody is a born economist in my language. They may not study economy per se, but they have been following economy principles in everyday day-to-day life. So including you and me, including our father, including parents, everybody is following economy. Everybody is economist without studying economy, sir. So I fell in love with economy when I was in post-graduation, sir.
Oh.
We had an elective subject called microeconomics and macroeconomic theory. So microeconomics was about graphs, so derivatives. There generally people hate the subject, but there's a little bit only. But maximum syllabus was about macroeconomic development in India. So there when we studied about national income, inflation, monetary policy, banking, financial market, taxation, fiscal policy, not as a subject, As you rightly mentioned, I was attracted to economy based on the way our professor was teaching economy. So he would never start with a theory, he would never start with a diagram, he would never start with something. He'll just casually talk with us. "Oh, what did you do yesterday morning?" So from there he'll pick up the concept and he'll try to link with the real life example. So that attracted me more. Then I have done MA economics there. So gradually I experimented while UPSC preparation also. So I felt teaching a difficult subject in a easy way is a real challenging thing. So first of all, subject itself is challenging. So then I thought, why not? Let's try. Let's make it economy so simple. So the other reason why, rather I got attracted to economy, economy attracted me.
So it's a mutual relationship, right?
Yes, sir. Now cohabitation is going on.
That's great. That's great. I mean, that's, as you rightfully pointed out, a lot depends on how you're taught the subject. In fact,
Yes,
most
sir.
people tend to hate, let's say, maybe possibly a maths or a history in their school days, largely because of how it's taught. That's true,
Yes, sir.
actually.
Initial formative years, when our cognitive abilities are being developed, the attitude that got formed towards something, that is how the subject is either difficult or easy.
And shows very well in your example as well of your personal life of how the teacher made sure that you fell in love with the subject. That's true. That's
Exactly,
true.
sir.
So, on this same point, as you said that everybody is an economist, I mean, what's one economic concept that you think every Indian should understand? Even if they never touch UPSC, every Indian should understand some economic concept. What's that?
I will take little bit liberty, sir. I would say not one concept, two concepts they have to understand for their own and for the nation as well.
Okay.
So one is inflation, one is fiscal policy. They may not study inflation, they may not know the definition of inflation, they may not understand the dynamics of inflation, but every day in day-to-day life they're experiencing it. And broader perspective, so ultimately everybody is trying to manage their income and expenditure per se.
That's
So
true.
everybody in India, I hope, should understand scientifically, rationally, logically two concepts: inflation and fiscal policy, from individual perspective, from government perspective, from RBI perspective. So they'll be in a better position to understand when a particular economic reform is brought in. They have this holistic knowledge and understanding.
Amazing. That's true. So, you say inflation and the
Fiscal
fiscal
policy.
policy. Fair enough. So, sir, when a student tells you that, sir, I don't get demand supply, I mean, what's the first thing that flashes in your mind when such questions are put forward to you?
First, we'll ask the student whether they have done that minimum basic homework that they're supposed to do. So instead of directly jumping into a concept, subject, syllabus, so first we need to be familiar with the terminology related to the topic, sir. That's why first 6 to 8 hours I would be focusing only on explaining the terminology of the economy. When I say terminology, it's not just about only the meaning of the word, how scientifically it is actually evolved. So we'll be asking what is demand, not from textbook definition. So from real life examples. So first and foremost, the student supposed to do is get familiarity with the terminology. Slowly, gradually build up the concepts from slow to the basic to the advanced. Directly something you are reading in a standard book, directly something you are referring to a newspaper. This is what students will bring to us. Sir, what is de-dollarization? Explain to us. Unless you know what is BOP, unless you know what is the current account, what is capital account, so what is international trade, what is WTO, unless you know holistically all this. So I would say, sir, economy is watching all the movies in different languages at a time. But yet you have to make the sense of it. Once you know the link, it's very easy, sir. So the foremost concept in economy is develop the micro link and then macro link. So I would say first try to learn the subject from through concept, micro concept, then interlinking of the concept, then static with the dynamic, then holistic knowledge of the entire paper.
So, link is extremely
Yes, sir.
important.
Somewhere
That's true.
student will find it difficult because the link is not taught in the proper order. Even if you read the book, sir, the chapters are not in such a way that they are linked. Whichever standard book you refer in the market, there is no link between one chapter to the other chapter in the textbook as it is. Actually speaking, there should be some link between one microeconomic concept and one more macroeconomic concept. Interlinking is very much important.
That's something I also agree, because when I teach polity, the same issue that comes is people simply start following Article 1, 2, 3, 4
Then
without
what is the use
understanding
of it?
the link of it. That's true. That's true.
Exactly, sir.
Absolutely correct, sir. So, let's also bust a myth since we're on this. Is economics really about numbers, about formula, or is there some hidden philosophy behind it?
Economy uses both science as well as humanities in a right proportion, I would say it. some numbers, theorems, diagrams, derivatives, just to analyze, not at a common man perspective, at the policymakers level. But application of it in real life is what we see in the other side. So it's not about just remembering some numbers or diagrams or forecasting. Based on the scientific methods, understanding how wealth is created, how wealth is redistributed, how wealth is supposed to be redistributed. So how as an individual we are growing, how as a community we are growing, how a nation we are growing, how the global economy is growing. So I would say it's not about the numbers, it's not about the theorems, it's about the application of this to the welfare of the humanity.
The application part, yes. So, do you think UPSC expects aspirants to understand economics as a subject or maybe as a way of thinking?
If you look at, sir, this year UPSC prelims, they have given 3-4 questions. And the interesting thing about these questions is they gave some numbers and then they asked a candidate to apply it. Meaning, earlier questions used to be asked based on what is fiscal deficit, what is effective revenue deficit. But this year in the prelims, they give expenditure of the government, capital expenditure of the government. So, and then they asked the candidate to find out what is revenue deficit, what is effective revenue deficit. Meaning, UPSC somewhere is trying to say that it's not enough if you just buy her the definition. We want you to apply it. So, I would say application will come when your concepts are clear. So, it is right amount of concepts as well as applications, sir. But if you look at the questions, 90% of the questions I would say based on conceptual clarity, around 10 to 20% depend upon the examiner's mood, probably application questions. And this time surprisingly, 4 questions came from only deficit concept, that to all application oriented. So which means you have to be thorough with concepts as well as you should be able to apply the mind, presence of mind of the concept in the exam.
So again, as what you had said earlier about firstly the terms and then the link and then the application part.
Exactly, sir.
That goes very well. Right. So, which part of syllabus, I mean, budget, say growth, external sector, whatever, which part do you think makes even the brightest student go blank?
Sir, probably this I have seen, and there is a myth going on around, and that's the way the myth is created. Some chapters are boring, some chapters are dry, some chapters are very difficult to listen to the class also even. So we have something called agriculture, which most of the students, 95% of the students, regularly don't want to attend the class. The reason being it, we are not looking at agriculture from holistically rational perspective. So when somebody is trying to make it with just some scheme, some name, some government policy, student feel it little bit boring. Actually, you need to understand that from grassroots reality. So then the agriculture chapter also, which students feel it is boring, which is difficult, which they are not able to meet up to UPSC main standards and all. So I would say it is both concept as well as application also, sir. It's not just merely theory.
And what is the contribution of the subject to the exam in general?
Sir, in GS paper 3, around 130 plus marks will come from economy.
No, as in the agriculture part.
Agriculture passed around 50 marks, sir.
So this means
every year 3 to 4 mains questions would come from agriculture.
Topic is important, but still the student feels that it's slightly boring or dry. Again,
that is
based on the way it is being taught, rather.
Exactly.
Is what you say.
Because generally PDFs are given, handouts are given, and we were told to remember the facts. So that's where student feels something it's not so interesting. But when you explain land reform, what is land, how land was there during British time, how land got evolved, land revenue settlement system, to the present modern issue, student will get holistic knowledge and interesting.
From history to polity to economics.
Exactly, sir. So the link also, the proper understanding also.
Also, sir, people often fear that economics is too much of current affairs. Is this valid or slightly exaggerated?
I would say exaggerated, sir. The reason being, in every topic, as economy is dynamic, every topic also comes with the dynamic aspect in prelims as well as mains. So national income, inflation, monetary policy, financial market, taxation, budgeting, external sector, agriculture, industry, investment models, poverty and employment, Niti Aayog, infrastructure, services. This is broad syllabus, but every topic also has a dynamic aspect to it, which you keep on getting in the newspaper, TV channels. But I would say every economic current affairs news is not important for us. Whichever is in sync with UPSC syllabus, we need to update that to our class notes. So here, I would say in the class itself, we'll follow this structure. So first, learn the concept. So go through previous year questions. If any current dynamic aspect is there, add to the class notes. And just 1 year before exam or before prelims, try to look at all the important economic current affairs which are in the news, try to decode it from the static syllabus. Similarly, just before the mains, look at the current affairs themes which are in the news, try to know the static theme behind it. So the perfectual, or you can say the perfect combination of syllabus, static, concept plus current affairs related to it, that would make a whole package, sir.
That's perfectly summarized how to prepare actually for both prelims and mains. Beautiful, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, if someone has, let's say, zero background in economics, what's the smartest starting point you would recommend?
I would be generally asking to observe what is happening in day to day life. So, to be specific, there are some books which we used to study while we were kids, sir. What to know, how to know, when to know. So, entire economy is, I would say, around 200 words, meaning scientifically, rationally, logically should be explained. So it's better to go and start with, even though I would say 6th to 10th, the terminology of what we studied in social science. I would say that is the perfect way to start off the subject. The reason being, you will understand the later big advanced concept from the foundation pillars of this basic understanding only. So someone who is about to start a subject, so start the terminology from 6th to 10th of social science. From there, the branch, separate branch called economy would be developed. Later move towards the basic terminology, concept, explanation, all this.
So, once again, start from the basics is what you
Exactly,
suggest.
sir. Whether you are a MA economics student, BA economics student, it does not matter. Go with the basics, learn the basics thoroughly.
Sir, since we are discussing on current affairs, so speaking about current affairs, how should aspirants integrate topics like, say, budget, the economic survey, Niti Aayog reports? I mean, without drowning into data, of course.
I would say too much remembering of the facts and data is not required, sir.
Okay.
There would be some obvious data about macroeconomy, like expected GDP growth rate, whether inflation is within the threshold or not. And if there is any abnormal deviations are there which are observed, like rupee drastically depreciated, rupee drastically appreciated, or too much trade deficit with someone. So some obvious data from budget and economic survey, again I'm saying, sir, related to the specific topic is required. So when I explain budget and economic survey, I would not just merely dump them the data. First, I'll ask them to understand the reason and the logic why government is giving these numbers. And from economic survey, what will you understand in the previous year, in that specific sector, whether we are able to achieve certain targets, why? Whether why we are not able to achieve the targets, why? So you're understanding the last year our performance from holistically from all dimensions. Then you are linking that with the policy that is taken, expected result in the budget. So economic survey is analysis of what happened in the last year. Budget is expected income and expenditure and expected outcome in the upcoming financial year. So when you know the link, so link is more important than the numbers. Numbers are only complementary, I would say, sir.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. So many students also believe that, I mean, that's a very simple statement that they make, that I read the Hindu, but I can't still think of, or I can't still make out a link between it and the syllabus. So, how can that connection be built between the daily newspaper and the syllabus?
Oh, this is valid question for all the GS subjects, I would agree, sir. Economy specific, the problem is in newspaper, as and when the article comes, the article is written by some research scholar probably. The language, the content, the interlinking is somewhat higher than a normal UPSC aspirant standard. So the aspirant is trying to decode everything in the article which is not relevant. So what is relevant for us? The core concept which is mentioned in the article is relevant. And if that article is specifically about concepts related to our syllabus, the essence of the article is important. So I would say rather than trying to pick up everything from the newspaper, it is better to decode the terms which are mentioned in the article. Let's be clear with the terms. That's why, sir, I am posting Hindu editorial summary, economy article summary in my Telegram group so that at least the little bit I can help them.
Okay, okay, great, great. So again, the point being that the terms, if once we are comfortable with the basic terms, it becomes easy to understand those articles. That's true. I mean, as you said, the research scholars, they, I think, write the articles mostly to impress people than to actually
Exactly, sir.
explain things.
They're trying to impress larger audience.
That's true. and the aspirant feels that this paper is meant for him.
So
That's a small error on his part. Okay, so let's talk about materials since you talked earlier about going to the basics and 6 to 10 CRTs and stuff. So, beyond the usual suspects that you have all these standard books, what should a serious student actually follow or maybe actually read?
there is a different perception rate. Market is flooded with the material. So if you look at any material, almost it is above 1,000 pages only for economy, to be precise. So I don't feel that every page is important, that material for the exam from first to last. Probably they're trying to give all this to say that their material covered all the questions probably. So it's not that how many number of pages the book has. I would say the better way to judge a standard book is how relevant it is to our syllabus and the previous year questions link. So my advice would be students' handwritten class notes is the most standard book. If they have learned the subject properly, concept and current affairs dynamic. So I would say rather than going after so many multiple resources which are available in the market, let's make your own notes in sync with UPSC pattern and syllabus, covering basic concept, current affairs dynamic, previous year prelims question, previous year mains question at the end of every topic. So your handwritten notes for all this would be the most standard book that would be available. In fact, I would say this in my class, sir. So which books to read? First question, did you read your class notes first? Are you updating your current affairs to your class notes or not? After a topic is over, did you solve previous year prelims questions? Did you look into previous year mains questions? Are you able to cover all the dimensions, headings, subheadings which are mentioned in this UPSC mains question related to that particular topic? If not, make it. If you make it approximately, sir, I am not exaggerating, around 250 to 300 pages material would come. Plus, there is a disclaimer. Current affairs dynamic also you have to add, keep on adding whenever that comes. So, probably one student knows this how to do it. So, obviously, his class notes will be the most standard book. Maybe that will become a new standard book in the next coming years after he becomes topper.
So class notes, as you said, right? I think that's a very valid point because in the last interview as well, the same point came up that we have to be a district collector, not a notes collector, right?
Exactly, sir.
And that's
The
what they do.
students should not become book collector. They have to become district collector because we'll filter it. We will try to concise it and link it with the syllabus. So that's the reason I think their notes is the best standard book.
Sir, there's also a new trend. Everyone is now watching YouTube analysis instead of reading, right? So is that helping the student or harming the preparation? What do you feel?
I would say the digital content or YouTube analysis or all this are harming the students rather than helping them. First and foremost, what is the authenticity of the analysis? And second, whether that entire analysis is relevant to us or not. Third, whether student is watching the entire video also or not. That is also a question mark. Generally, sir, I observed if the student is watching a video, if video length is more than 3 minutes or 5 minutes, they are just clicking the buttons but not watching completely. Neither he is getting holistic understanding, nor he is understanding the context, concept, current dynamic of it in a simplified way. So, but some students are watching like specific concept or specific meaning of the terms, which are actually helping them. So, I would advise rather than watching a lengthy videos, a concept is summarized in 3 to 5 minutes, or explained with the use of latest audiovisual technology, something with AI. That will be helpful, sir. But again, in the age of misinformation, which information is correct, which information is not correct, it's a big challenge, sir.
And especially with the market flooded with videos, learn history in 1 day, polity in two
Too much,
hours,
sir.
economics in 30 minutes. That's true. That's
And
true.
marathon session of economy in 12 hours.
Yes, yes. Actually, that's true. As you said, misinformation is there. Plus, especially selecting and watching the topics that I felt were difficult in the entire video, that's a better thing to do. Absolutely. So, also, sir, because this point also, if you stop reading, it does not give you that command of the language as well, which might reflect in the answer, in a poor
Exactly,
answer
sir.
quality.
In mains, we have to write the answer. So that's the reason why you should study, you should read, you should make your own notes, and while doing this, you take the help of the videos which you feel it is comfortable.
So, coming to this answer writing point also, since we mentioned this, what separates a 90 marks candidate from, say, 120 marks candidate? One in the economic section primarily.
So the easiest way to start the answer writing in economy section is they would define the keyword. Whereas a 120 mark candidate might bring up some current affairs related scheme related to that aspect, or he might himself pose a question to the examiner, thought provoking question related to that specific aspect, and he might interlink not just what he studied but his own reflection also to the answer. So which means simply reproducing what is there in the material is a 90-mark candidate. Assimilating it, understanding it, bringing a current dynamic to it, interlinking from polity aspect, historical aspect, legal aspect, and bringing up the relevant data, sir. Not just flooding the data, along with that his own reflection. So that would make a 120 plus mark candidate answer.
Perfect, sir. I mean, giving the context is seen as an amazing start to any answer.
Exactly, sir. Why semiconductor industry? You need to explain.
Sir, also, how important is data in answers? I mean, should we like throw numbers like confetti or maybe use them like precise weapons? What do you feel?
This is generally we face when we are writing mains answers, especially in agriculture and industry chapters, sir. Because there different people suggest different strategies. Some toppers suggest they would make a fact sheet for every micro topic theme. When I say fact sheet, it's not about dumping of all the numbers again, only holistic data about 2-3 numbers. Suppose a candidate supposed to write an answer about, say, green revolution. Now, complete factual data would be first phase, second phase, third phase, or number of acres that was covered. This is too much. So maybe a little bit idea. So if you're exactly sure about the numbers, specify the numbers. If you're not sure about the numbers, around, probably, possibly, but don't misquote the numbers. Don't create your own numbers.
Of course.
And economy answer alone is not made with the numbers, sir. I would say once again, numbers are only complementary. Core product is the concept and the theme and the justification of the your answer. For which I would use numbers here and there as complementary.
So don't misquote facts. That's true.
Exactly, sir.
97% statistics are made on spot, like this one.
Don't create the articles, don't create the budget, don't create your own economic survey.
So coming to that, the budget and economic survey, sir. I mean, as you pointed out, how should they be studied differently for say prelims and for mains?
For prelims, examiner is more interested in understanding the meaning of the numbers, sir. I would say again, so read in between lines. Similarly, understand the numbers. When I say understand the numbers, not remembering all the numbers. Why compared to last year in this year economic survey in a specific sector, growth either increased or decreased? That's the number. But there is a logic behind it, reason behind it, and there is a concept behind it. So examiner is rather more interested in knowing this along with the number. Because I have observed, sir. So suppose there is a question. One statement would be about fiscal deficit in the economic survey. Absolutely, it is about number. Means it is important to know the number. The second statement would be he will be picking up from the economic survey some line or some concept or some theme or some analysis. Meaning how this number is impacting or how this number is having multiplier impact, we call it as. That impact is also in the second statement. Third statement would be not only the specific number but also holistically overall what is happening to economy. I would say don't by heart every page in economic survey. Try to know it holistically, micro theme wise, and the link also, and the numbers also should be studied in a scientific way.
So, what is your personal ritual before the budget? I mean, chai, calculator, silence. What do you do before the budget?
Whatever we predict till the budget comes and economic survey comes, so all these are predictions only. In fact, budget is also prediction only. But generally, we are more interested because as we are into subject, both academician as well as into aspirant, so we keep looking at the articles which are in sync with government policies. Again, unlike earlier, sir, now budget is not just only government is coming up with some new reforms or new scheme. They are doing so much research. They are taking input from all the experts. They are consulting all stakeholders. They are taking opinion. I would say it is becoming more participatory decision making in the budget presentation also. Of course, government may not listen what everybody is saying. In the larger interest of the nation, in the larger interest of future generations, a particular policy is being written, both positive side, negative side. So all articles related to budget, core themes, I would be following, sir, to get a better understanding so that we can understand the link between what the scholars are saying, what government is doing, and policy somewhere in between them.
So that the student doesn't have to put in the effort.
Exactly, sir.
Sir, how can aspirants connect, say, economics with GS2 as well as ethics? I mean, is there some common thread that makes the answer more holistic?
Yes, sir. I would say best friend of economy is polity. The reason polity understanding will help in holistic understanding of economy. As well, economy understanding will help in holistic understanding of polity. So probably as you teach polity, sir, you know center state relations. So you will come across so many terms: cooperative federalism, so GST, 101 CA, Finance Commission. I won't say direct overlap, but once they understand correctly Finance Commission, so fiscal federalism, fiscal policy, when a student is studying center state relations, financial relations between center and state, they'll get holistic knowledge. Plus, any decision that you take, sir, what is ethics, sir? Judging whether a decision is right or wrong from social perspective. Be it a political decision, be it an economic decision, any decision, I think will come from ethics. I feel ethics are not taught. So ethics are caught through socialization, through values, through friends. Of course, even if you teach ethics, if a person is not ethical, he may not follow ethics. So as a civil servant, he need to understand an issue from political angle, economic angle, cultural angle, historical angle, and most important, from ethics as well. So as we have seen, sir, in the recent times, there are so many corruption cases of top level bureaucrats. So which means ethics is along with economy and polity. Not only this historical and legal aspect. That's what make a knowledge holistic.
Fair, fair, fair. In fact, as you said, ethics has to be caught, not taught.
Even if you teach, they may not learn it if they
Yes,
don't
that's
want
true.
to.
Because we see young entrants who immediately fall and prey to corruption.
sir.
That is very surprising,
First
actually.
day, first posting, first job itself, first bribe.
Yes. And
So,
after scoring 120 plus marks in ethics
in
paper.
ethics. So,
That's it. Sir, okay, one more question, sir. What's one topic that UPSC keeps reinventing in questions every few years? I mean, like an economic deja vu. What do you feel? Or maybe some topics, whatever.
some specific prelims topics are there, sir, where topic is same, but the way questions are being framed, UPSC is coming up with new dimensions. So, for example, sir, national income, inflation, monetary policy. These are examiners' favorite. Invariably, questions will be there. But last 2 years, I observed this trend, sir. Earlier, they used to ask simple questions: what is repo rate? What is reverse repo rate? What is open market operations? What is the impact of inflation? But last 2 3 years, I observed a new trend. In a question of three statement, one statement from one chapter, one more statement from one more chapter, and one more statement interlinking of both of them. So this is uniqueness of the UPSC question framing, where unless candidate has understood each and every micro topic and the link between the two, he cannot answer.
Fair. So this also means somewhat that in India's economy today, what I feel is, do you think UPSC per se, are these questions moving towards more application than theory? Is this what you would agree to?
Exactly, sir. Last 5 years, if I observe precisely, uh, before 5 years, also if you look at, theory was a little bit more, application was a little bit less. But for the last 5 years, more questions are moving towards application, for which again the basis is concept and theory.
The same 6 to 10 terms, etc.
Yes, sir.
That's true. So, sir, how can one maintain consistency in reading the newspaper and not lose interest in those economy pages, as you said, the research scholar pages?
I am starting UPSC preparation for the first time, sir. I don't want to read every page in the newspaper, first of all.
Okay.
Economy business also, first look at the headline. By looking at the headline, try to make whether it is relevant to our syllabus or not. If two companies are fighting over some patent or infringement or some intellectual property rights, what is important for us is only intellectual property rights terminology, not the issue between the two. So similarly, if some opposition party is saying that in India taxes are like England but services are like Somalia, opposition political criticism is not important for us. What is tax, what is service is important for us. So try to keep your focus on the things which are relevant to the exam in the newspaper reading rather than try to read every page.
True, true, true.
So I would say filter it. How do we filter it? Keep the syllabus, look at the headline. If in headline anywhere terminology is matching to our syllabus, try to understand the related terminology related to it and the essence of it. Sometimes, sir, in the Supreme Court judgment also, or when case comes up, so maybe the essence of the article is important for us. For example, whether coconut oil should be considered as edible oil or coconut oil should be considered as cosmetics regarding GST.
Okay, so for prelims, students panic over confusing schemes and indices. So any smart way to remember them, revise them?
in recent times, sir, that students are trying to mug up. Our students are trying to by heart some 80 pages or 100 pages just before the exam. I would advise it's not the correct way to do it.
Okay.
Rather, when a scheme comes up in the newspaper, try to understand the context why that came up. Also, there itself, three questions: which ministry is implementing it, and what is the obvious data related to it? Who are the beneficiaries, and why government is giving such importance to that particular scheme. Also, this scheme is relevant to our syllabus in which chapter, which theme, which micro theme. That is the correct way and scientific way of linking the schemes rather than simply by hearting all the schemes.
Fair, fair, fair.
Somewhere some candidate is reading Make in India. So if he does not understand industrial policy, if he does not understand how industrial policy evolved, if he does not know about manufacturing sector, how can he make sense out of Make in India scheme?
True, true. Very standard question people ask normally is that as an aspirant, when should I stop collecting notes and start consolidation of my notes? Because we all know hoarding of notes never ends,
Yes, sir.
right? So,
I would say at least 1 month before the exam
okay.
of both prelims as well as mains. 1 month before the exam of prelims and mains, your focus should be on more revision, consolidation, and recollection. So rather than, again, we are saying the same thing, don't become book collectors and material collectors. Your concepts are clear, 90% of the questions you will be able to understand. You are thorough with the budget and economic survey, obvious data, you will be able to sail through the prelims. And you are able to recollect the holistic theme of the topic along with the numbers, you will be able to write a good answer in the mains. So I would say at least 1 month before the exam, stop collecting the data, stop collecting all the materials, focus on what you have, revise, consolidate, recollect.
No. So 1 month before the exam, we need to stop collecting and hoarding data, right?
I'm taking liberty here, sir, because I assume that UPSC is preparing all still in physical method, so they might take. But in bank exams and SSC exams, we can't take this risk, sir.
Yes, that's true.
Because one day before, no, same day question also can come in the question paper.
That's true.
So,
That's true. Sir, what is one, I would say, the biggest conceptual blunder you've seen students make over and over again? I mean, something that you wish that you could fix forever for them.
generally, sir, when you ask about any concept in the class, students are just able to recollect the definition rather than understanding the logic and the scientific rationale behind it. So UPSC is just playing with the words. In fact, I would say playing with English sometimes, playing with the concept sometimes. So you ask 90% of the UPSC aspirants clear definition between GDP and GNP, they would come up with a textbook answer rather than the conceptual clarity and the logic behind explanation for it. So I would say once you know the logic behind the explanation for it, the textbook definition you can write on your own way.
So, as we have discussed, it's more of a thinking person's paper now.
Exactly, sir. So everybody will write the same GDP definition, but if you ask him to explain that in a scientific way, he is not able to explain.
Sir, if you had to, let's say, design economics paper for UPSC, I mean, what is one change that you would make?
It should be first application oriented in prelims, as I said. Second, some I feel vague, ambiguous questions should be avoided. Third, too much emphasis on data is not required, I think so. So it is more about civil servants supposed to know more about application oriented and rather than just by hearting the data. So the paper should balance theory, concept, and current affairs dynamics in per se.
So the balance is what you would prefer.
Yes, sir. Because whether they're economy student, whether you're science student, whether they're so art student, for everybody level playing field should be created with the right balance of the questions.
Sir, also, I mean, a lot of students look at economics and they say, "Bhai, this is like rocket science, right?" And to someone who is maybe genuinely scared of the subject, what would you tell them? I mean, how do they overcome the fear and they start enjoying it?
Exactly, sir. First, don't think that you are preparing for the exam.
Okay.
Half the stress is gone. Second, just listen to the class with the open mind. Because your mind is already preoccupied with so much of prejudices about a particular subject or about a particular concept. Just spend some time in the class with the open mind. And try to know the examples which are given from the real life to the related concept. If you remember the example, you will be able to answer the question, even if you don't remember the theory.
True, true.
So at least once 2-3 classes are over, the student will understand, oh, it's not about by hearting, it's not about remembering, it's about rather understanding our real life examples only. So that the fear will go slowly, slowly. They'll fall in love with the subject.
So on this note only, I mean, you know that UPSC, as you said, is not about just about say mugging up data and facts. It's about staying curious, as you said. But then, sir, curiosity also fades, right? And especially fast when topics like say repo rates and fiscal deficits come into picture. So how can aspirants actually develop a long-term interest in economic issues? I mean, something say beyond the exam.
I would say don't look at economy as a part of UPSC preparation. In fact, it will stay with you forever throughout your life. Whether you become civil servant or after you become the civil servant, whether you are not a civil servant, everybody is managing income and expenditure. That is nothing but economy. Rather, try to learn the subject with the curiosity and eagerness where you can use the concept in a more in real life. So obviously, sir, in the modern day, all of us are investing in stock market. From where the knowledge comes from economy. So every day we are looking at petrol prices, diesel prices are increasing, and everybody is looking at tariff war. So which means don't look at this merely only for academic subject perspective. Try to understand the subject more from a real life perspective, which will be useful for you in everyday life. So it's not just after preparing for UPSC economy is over. No. So every day you are economist, as I said. Every day you are using economy principles in real life, and opportunity cost, inflation, national income, GDP, external sector you will come across. And most important, if you have the deeper understanding of the subject, you will make a better choices in your life as well, while buying a car, while buying a house, while taking a loan, in fact while selecting a spouse also. So in fact after that also. So I would say use it as integral part of you rather than a subject.
Yeah, I mean, especially nowadays, even celebs are explaining, stock market decisions to us. And yes, as you said, purchasing decisions, we'll have to finally stay free. Those that tell us how to purchase, what to purchase, we can make the decisions on ourselves, on our own. Great.
Just because somebody is telling to purchase something, so we should not be attracted towards it. We should also have our own rational mind to apply our economy knowledge, whether what they're saying is correct or not.
When to purchase a car, when not to purchase a car, why not to
Exactly.
purchase a house. We have so
Exactly.
many such
Exactly.
advice now.
Why we should not buy through loan? Why only that much EMI? Why only short tenure? Why not long tenure?
And so finally, I mean, if economics had to give one, life lesson to aspirants, one line that stays with them even beyond UPSC, what would that be?
I would say, sir, golden rule of borrowing, as I explained in the class also. Ideally, for a person or for a family or for a country, income should be greater than expenditure. If not, it can be balanced. If it is in deficit, there is nothing wrong in borrowing, but borrowed money should be used for capital expenditure to generate the income. Not only valid for economy, valid for everybody in life, for an organization, for an individual, for a company, for global economy as well. Whoever did not follow this line, probably you know, sir, what happened. So they became bankrupt. They went to
Yes.
debt trap.
Yes, that's true. And then they had to sit for a similar podcast to improve their image.
So
So, sir, that was such a brilliant note to end on because, ultimately UPSC economics is not just about formula. It's about, as sir said, it's about understanding. It's about understanding how India thinks, how India earns, how India grows. And so next time anyone asks you or tells you that economics is tough, just tell them, remind them rather, that even economy recovers from a slowdown, right? So I'm Anubhav Saransh and this is the GS room where the curious meets the serious. Jai Hind.